Okay, you saw the title. Let's see if AMD's RX 2800 XT can finally make you compete in Warzone, Apex Legends, Fortnite, Valorant, and PUBG. As always, we're going to be testing out these games in competitive settings at 1440p. Alright, let's do some testings. Okay, let's start off with Call of Duty Modern Warfare synthetic benchmarks, and in here, boys, we're trying to compare stock settings of the RX 2800 XT compared to undervolted settings. Now, one thing that you could notice right away is that our GPU power is significantly lower than undervolted settings, but our performance is way better. This is evidenced by our GPU clock, which is running 2700 megahertz compared to a much lower GPU clock on the stock settings, which is amazing, right? And yeah, you can see that on our average FPS, 1% lows and 21% lows, slightly higher compared to stock settings. Let's go to real world Mazrah, and here we are in Mazrah on one of their urban scenarios or urban settings in here. So you can see we do have a lot of those frame time spikes in here. Yeah, down that yeah, a lot of frame spikes, and that's because in this area of the map we've got a lot of people, a lot of things happening. You know, this is the first part of the map, first part of the game, sorry. And yeah, average FPS is 164, 1% low is about 120. Okay, here we have, you know, a much more cleaner part of the map. Like there's basically not a lot of people in here. You can see our 1% lows have picked up, although our 0.1% lows is about 50. You still got some setters there. Average HP is really good. Our GPU power is really high. This is using stock settings, boys. So I'm just trying to make sure that this is stock competitive 1440p settings in here, and our GPU clock 2500 megahertz, round that in. Let's go for some action scenes in here. Let's say we got about 185 FPS, 150 right there. Yep, it's pretty good there. Yep, yeah, right there. Yeah, this is pretty good. Like even with smokes in here, and we're good. And anyway, this is the Gulag. It's pretty good. Like it's pretty smooth. Let's move on to our next game, Apex Legends, and once again, we're trying to play competitive settings at 1440p. Let's see how this one turns out. Alright, once again, we're trying to compare stock settings and undervolted settings, see which one is much more stable, boys. Roughly the same, but they're all about like GPU bottleneck scenarios. Ooh. I'd say we get better results with undervolted settings, and like I said, it's up to you. Your mileage may vary because of the silicon lottery. Still shots in here, same thing. So we're getting like really good results with undervolting. And if you like more of these testings, boys, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel. And here we go. We're trying to compare anti-lag off, anti-lag, and anti-lag plus. As you can see in here, if you've noticed any difference, but I just thought that I'd test it out. Okay, here we have real world scenarios in here. Boom, boom. It's pretty good. Look at our FPS, boys. It's about 290, 280 in here. 1% is about 190 FPS, which is not bad actually. We're only using really a small amount of VRAM, and that's because we're on competitive settings. Our GPU power still goes really high at 270 plus watts, and as I've said, I would recommend that you undervolt this guy to actually gain more. Alright, let's get some more action scenes in here. Like, look at that one. It's pretty smooth, pretty stable. Just try to ignore the 0.1% lows. That's, you know, mostly related to the server issues and, you know, network. So I'll totally disregard that. Let's focus on the 1% and the average FPS, and of course, more importantly, frame times. Here we go. Landscape shots is not as GPU intensive as those close up, you know, CQC. Even with like fire effects in here, not so much in here. We're still getting about close to 300 FPS and 1440p, which is actually pretty good. Boom, that's that shot. That's that shot again. But yes, this one's pretty good, boys. Pretty good experience. Alright, let's move on to our next game, which is a Fortnite. And as always, Fortnite, we're just testing performance mode in here. We'll test out all the other modes in the later part of the video, but in here, real world performance mode with anti-lag plus turn on, because that's a new feature. Let's see in here. Actually, this is actually not that bad. Like, we're still getting really high FPS in here. 1% low is about 200. Yep. Oh, trying to run away. Trying to run away. All right. Okay, my mate's down, and then in here, as I've seen, and I think the good thing about this one, boys, is look at our GPU clock. I think AMD has finally addressed the issue we have down that guy with our GPU clocks. So previously, the GPU clocks are very low on performance mode. So in here, at least it's now better. And yeah, our GPU power is very low with performance mode, only about 150 with 80 watts in there. Our GPU is pretty cool at 46. Finally got that guy. Yep, 46 degrees, which is, yeah, we're using the ASRock Steel Legend RX 2800 XT. And here, let's see some like wide range shots and some more like close range fights in here. This is pretty good. You know, it's good. It's good. It's good. I'm happy with this one. You've got those occasional frame time spike, but it's tolerable. Okay, here we go, comparing all three modes: performance mode, DX Living, and DX World. And right off the bat, we can see in here that our performance mode gets the most average FPS. Second in 1% lows. The 1% lows would go to the DX12, which is AMD's string. You know, you can see in here, performance mode on stock settings, and this is not undervolted, this is just regular performance mode. Stock settings is actually now better. Right? Maybe it's just because of the new 7000 series. I haven't tested out the 6000 series, but yes, this is good. Let's move on to our next game of Valorant. And once again, we are at 1440p competitive settings. Okay, starting off with comparing anti-lag turn on and anti-lag turn off, because I think this is really important, boys. Look at our 1% lows and 0.1% lows, comparing the two. You can see that we've got better 1% and 0.1% lows with anti-lag turn off. And Valorant, everything is pretty much the same in here. Heavy action scenes in here. Once again, the same thing, right? We've got better 1% and 0.1% lows if you turn off anti-lag. Now let's compare stock settings with anti-lag turn off versus undervolted settings with anti-lag turn off. Okay, here we go. And you can see right there, they're probably really similar to each other. The only difference maybe is the GPU power, but everything else is roughly really close to each other. Like, yeah, really close to each other. Moving on with real world gameplays, and this is the start of the game, and you'll notice a lot of frame time spikes in here, boys, and this is pretty normal at the start of the game. In the later part of the game, you will see that those will probably stabilize. Oh, got that guy. Yes, a lot of frame time spikes in there. GPU power is about 180, so less than 200 watts. Our FPS is around 400. We do have those frame time spikes in there, but like I said, it will stabilize in the later part of the game. Like in this round in here, there's still some spikes, but not as bad as in the first round. But we've got pretty good experience in here. 70% GPU usage. Our GPU, the Steel Legend's always pretty cool at 51 degrees Celsius. That's pretty fine, right? Pretty fine. There you go. Got that guy. Still got those frame time spikes, but as I'm saying, this is Valorant. Do notice this one. I'm not enabling 1%, 0.1% lows in here. It's because we're Omen's ability tends and all the menus tends to muck it up, so I just leave it raw in this case, and I'm pretty happy with the performance of this one, boys. Ooh, got that neon right there. Let's move on to the next game, PUBG, and here we have competitive settings at 1440p, DX11 enhance. Okay, let's start off with comparing stock settings versus undervolted settings once again, and we can see in here our undervolted settings using less GPU power but has higher clocks compared to our stock settings, resulting to better performance. So once again, I would advise you to try to undervolt your COD if you can. Right, let's move on to real-world gameplays. Okay, now here we are. Wrangle, right? Wrangle. Yep. So it's pretty smooth on landscape areas in here. We're doing squads in here. Average FPS 250. 1% low is pretty good at 161 FPS at 1440p. Right? We are maxing out our GPU power in here. This is stock settings. Right? GPU clock at about 2500. Maxing out the GPU at 99%. Let's go for some heavy, well, some action scenes here. Not heavy, action scenes. Some frame time spikes, and this is pretty normal with PUBG. I think it's with the game engine, really. You know, when there are some new assets loading in, they have those spikes in there. Got that guy. Ooh, almost hit us. Alright, almost killed us. Come on, man. Alright, so yeah, V rounds about like 5600. Alright. It's overall I'm pretty happy with the RX 7800 XT. I think it's really good. You know, the RX 7800 XT is quite amazing. Now, it has definitely bumped up our FPS on all these competitive games. I'm actually amazed with how it performed now with Fortnite's performance mode. That obviously this could be driver related too, with our updated drivers. If you'd like to see more about our ASRock RX 7800 XT that we're using in this test, feel free to click this video right here, and we'll see you guys over there.